Good evening, my friends. Tonight we are going to go deeper than we have ever gone before into the one thing that determines whether your desire manifests or remains forever a fantasy. Tonight I am going to take you into the very heart of manifestation itself. Tonight you are going to understand, truly understand for the first time what it means to feel. You have heard it 1,000 times. Feeling is the secret. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel it real. Every teacher says it. Every book repeats it. And yet most of you still do not know what this means. You think you do. You believe you are doing it, but you are not. And that is why your desires remain unfulfilled. Tonight that changes. Tonight I am going to show you what feeling actually is, what it is not, and how to master it so completely that manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Let me start by showing you what you are doing wrong. And I know you are doing it wrong because if you were doing it right, you would already have everything you desire. So let me show you the mistake nearly everyone makes. When I tell you to feel your desire fulfilled, what do? You try to generate an emotion. You try to feel happy. You try to feel excited. You try to feel grateful. You sit there and you work yourself up into an emotional state. And you think, yes, I am feeling it. I am so happy. I am so excited. And you do this for 5 minutes, maybe 10. And then you open your eyes and you go about your day feeling quite proud of yourself for doing the work. And nothing manifests. Days pass, weeks pass, months pass, and you wonder, but I felt it. I felt so happy when I imagined having my desire. Why is it not here? I will tell you why. Because you were feeling the wrong thing. Happiness is not the feeling. Excitement is not the feeling. Gratitude, joy, relief, peace. None of these emotions are the feeling. These are the effects of the feeling. But they are not the feeling itself. Let me give you an aha moment right now. Stop everything you think you know and listen carefully. The feeling is not an emotion. The feeling is a sense of being. Let that sink in. The feeling is not an emotion. The feeling is a sense of being. When I say assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, I do not mean feel happy about your wish being fulfilled. I mean feel yourself to be the person who has your wish fulfilled. Do you see the difference? One is an emotion. The other is an identity. One is a temporary state you can conjure up and then lose 5 minutes later. The other is a fundamental shift in who you know yourself to be. Now let me go deeper. Let me show you what this feeling truly is, because until you understand this, you cannot master it. The feeling is the inner knowing that you are something. It is the silent, wordless conviction of being. Think about how you feel yourself to be human right now, not the emotion of being human. The sense of being human. It is not something you have to convince yourself of. It is not something you try to feel. It is simply what you are. You are human. This is not a hope. This is not a belief. This is a knowing so deep, so automatic, so natural that you never question it. This is the feeling you must have about your desire. Not I feel happy imagining I am wealthy, but I am wealthy. Not the emotion of wealth, the being of wealth, the identity of wealth, the naturalness of wealth. Let me show you how this works in your current reality. Right now, you feel yourself to be a certain kind of person. Perhaps you feel yourself to be someone who struggles with money. This is not an emotion. You do not wake up every morning and feel sad about money. The feeling is deeper than that. It is the silent assumption running beneath all your thoughts. I am someone who struggles with money. This is your sense of being regarding money. And because you feel yourself to be this, because this is your inner knowing, your world reflects it perfectly. Circumstances arise that match this feeling. Bills come. Expenses appear. Opportunities slip away. Not because the universe is punishing you, but because your world must reflect the person you feel yourself to be. When you want to manifest wealth, you cannot simply feel happy about the idea of being wealthy while continuing to feel yourself to be someone who struggles. The happy feeling is temporary. It fades, but the deep feeling of being that persists. And the persistent feeling is what creates. So the question is not, did I feel happy when I visualized? The question is, who do I feel myself to be? Let me take you even deeper now. There are two levels of feeling, and you must understand both. The first level is what I call surface feeling. This is emotion, happiness, excitement, gratitude, relief. These are real. These are valid. These can be part of the experience. But they are not the foundation. They are the decoration on the house, not the house itself. The second level is what I call foundational feeling. This is identity. This is being. This is the deep, silent knowing of what you are. And this is what creates your reality. Most of you are working only with surface feeling. You generate emotions during your practice and think you have done the work. But the moment you stop focusing, the emotion fades and you return to your foundational feeling, which has not changed at all. You still feel yourself to be the person who does not have, who is waiting, who is hoping. And so nothing changes in your outer world because nothing changed in your inner being. But when you shift the foundational feeling, when you change who you feel yourself to be at the deepest level, everything in your outer world must shift to match. This is law. This is absolute. This cannot fail. So how do you shift foundational feeling? How do you change not just what you feel about something, but who you feel yourself to be? That is what I am going to teach you now. The secret to mastering feeling is understanding that feeling is not something you do. Feeling is something you are. You do not do being human. You are human. You do not do having hands. You have hands. The having is natural, automatic, assumed. There is no effort in it. This is what you must achieve with your desire. Not doing the feeling of having it, but being the person who has it. And the difference between doing and being is everything. Let me show you how to move from doing to being. Right now, I want you to think about something you already have. Something simple. Perhaps you have a bed. Perhaps you have a favorite cup. Perhaps you have a particular item of clothing you love. Choose something you have without question. Now, how do you feel about having this thing? Notice that you do not have to generate a feeling. You do not have to convince yourself you have it. You do not have to visualize having it. You simply know you have it. This knowing is so natural, so assumed, so automatic, that you never think about it. This is the feeling you must have about your desire. Not I am trying to feel like I have wealth, but I have wealth. The knowing is simple, natural, assumed. It requires no effort. It is just what is. But how do you get to this place of natural knowing when your current circumstances scream the opposite? How do you feel yourself to be wealthy when your bank account is empty? How do you feel yourself to be loved when you sleep alone? How do you feel yourself to be healthy when your body is sick? This is where most people give up. They say, but Neville, I cannot feel wealthy when I have no money. I cannot feel loved when I am alone. The circumstances contradict the feeling. And this is where I must wake you up to the truth. The circumstances do not create the feeling. The feeling creates the circumstances. You think you will feel wealthy when you have money. But you will have money when you feel wealthy. You think you will feel loved when someone loves you. But someone will love you when you feel loved. You think you will feel healthy when your body heals. But your body will heal when you feel healthy. The feeling must come first, always. And the feeling is not dependent on circumstances. The feeling is dependent only on your imagination. Now let me teach you how to actually enter the feeling. How to shift from the person you have been feeling yourself to be to the person you desire to feel yourself to be. This is not about emotion. This is not about trying. This is about a gentle shift in awareness, a subtle turning of attention that changes everything. Close your eyes for a moment. I want you to feel who you are right now. Not think about who you are. Feel who you are. Notice the silent sense of self that exists beneath all your thoughts. This is you. This is your current sense of being. Now I want you to notice something. This sense of self, this feeling of being who you are, it is not solid. It is not fixed. It is actually quite fluid. You can shift it simply by shifting your awareness. Think about a time in your life when you felt completely different than you do now. Perhaps a time when you felt confident, powerful, certain. For just a moment, remember that version of you, not the circumstances of that time, but the sense of self, the feeling of being that person. Do you notice that just by remembering, just by turning your attention to that version of you, something shifts? You feel different, not dramatically, not with great emotion, but there is a subtle shift in your sense of being. This is what I want you to understand. You can shift who you feel yourself to be simply by shifting your attention. And when you shift who you feel yourself to be, you shift what you create. So here is the practice. When you want to manifest something, do not try to generate emotion about having it. Instead, gently shift your awareness to being the person who has it. How do you do this? You imagine. But not in the way you have been imagining. Not creating a scene and watching yourself in it, but stepping into the scene and being yourself in it. Let me give you an example. Suppose you desire wealth. Most of you would visualize money. Perhaps see yourself looking at a bank statement. Maybe imagine yourself buying something expensive. And you would try to feel excited or happy or grateful about this. But this is external. You are watching yourself have wealth. You are feeling emotions about the idea of wealth. But you are not being wealthy. Instead, I want you to imagine being the wealthy version of you, not doing wealthy things, being the wealthy person. Close your eyes and ask yourself, how does a wealthy person feel about themselves? Not about their money, about themselves. What is their sense of self? What is their internal state? A wealthy person feels secure, not because they have money, but as a fundamental sense of self. Security is who they are. A wealthy person feels free. They feel relaxed. They feel like they have options. They feel like they are enough. They feel valuable. They feel worthy. These are not emotions. These are states of being. And you can enter these states right now without a single dollar in your bank account, simply by shifting your awareness. Try it now. Close your eyes and say to yourself, I am secure. I am free. I have options. I am valuable. I am worthy. Not as affirmations you are trying to believe, but as a gentle recognition of a version of you that already exists in imagination. Feel how this version of you moves through the world. Feel how this version of you thinks about money. Feel how this version of you makes decisions. Feel how this version of you speaks to others. You are not trying to convince yourself of anything. You are simply being this version of you. And the more you practice being this version, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more your outer world shifts to match who you are being. Let me show you the crucial difference between trying to feel and actually feeling, because this is where most people get stuck. When you try to feel, there is effort, there is reaching, there is a sense of, I do not have this yet, but I am trying to convince myself I do. This effort itself is the problem, because effort implies lack. You only try to feel what you do not already feel. You only try to be what you are not already being. But when you simply are, there is no effort. There is just a gentle resting in the state. It is like when you sit in a chair. You do not try to sit. You do not convince yourself you are sitting. You simply sit. And the sitting is natural, easy, effortless. This is how feeling your desire fulfilled should be. Natural, easy, effortless. You are simply resting in the state of being the person who has your desire. Here is how you know you are trying versus being. If there is strain, you are trying. If there is peace, you are being. If you are working hard to maintain the feeling, you are trying. If the feeling is simply there, quiet and natural, you are being. Most of you are exhausting yourselves trying to feel. And then you wonder why the feeling does not last. It does not last because you are treating it like a doing instead of a being. You are treating it like an activity you must perform, instead of a state you simply inhabit. Now let me give you another aha moment. You cannot lose a state of being. You can only step out of it. The state is always there. You are simply choosing which state to inhabit with your awareness. Right now, infinite states exist. The state of being wealthy exists. The state of being loved exists. The state of being healthy exists. They are not somewhere in the future. They are here now in consciousness. And you can step into any of them simply by turning your awareness to them. When you lose the feeling, you have not actually lost anything. You have simply shifted your awareness back to the old state. The new state is still there. You have just stopped being it. So mastering the feeling is not about holding on to something. It is about learning to continuously return your awareness to the state you wish to inhabit, over and over, gently, naturally, until being in that state becomes more natural than being in the old state. Now let me give you the test that tells you whether you have truly mastered the feeling or whether you are still just playing with surface emotions. The test is this. Does it feel natural? When you think about your desire, does it feel natural to have it? Not exciting, not thrilling, natural. Like of course you have it. Like it is simply what is. Think about the things you already have. They feel natural. You do not get excited thinking about them. You do not need to convince yourself you have them. You simply know you have them. And the knowing is quiet, calm, natural. This is what your desire must feel like. Not, oh my God, I am so excited, I have this. But of course I have this. This is just how things are. When the desire feels natural, you have mastered the feeling. When it still feels exciting or unbelievable, you are still working with surface emotion, not foundational being. Here is another test. Can you forget about it? Not in the sense of giving up on it, but in the sense of not needing to constantly think about it, or check for it, or monitor it. Things you truly have you can forget about. You do not spend all day thinking about your bed or your shoes or your name. You have them. They are yours. You can forget about them and go about your life. But things you are trying to manifest, you cannot forget about. You obsess over them. You check for them. You wonder when they will arrive. This constant checking is proof that you have not truly felt yourself to be the person who has them. Because the person who has them does not check. They already know. So when you can think about your desire with the same casual naturalness that you think about anything else you possess, you have mastered the feeling. When you can go hours or days without obsessing over whether it is coming, you have mastered the feeling. When the having of it feels so natural that you sometimes forget you once did not have it, you have mastered the feeling. Now let me give you a specific technique for developing this natural feeling, for moving from trying to being, for saturating yourself so completely in the state that it becomes your new normal. I call this saturation because you are going to saturate your consciousness with the state of being the person who has your desire, until that state becomes as natural as breathing. Here is how you do it. You are going to spend one full day, just one day to start, being the person who has your desire, not visualizing about having it, not hoping you will have it, being the person who has it. From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are going to move through your day as this person. You are going to think their thoughts. You are going to make their decisions. You are going to respond to situations as they would respond. You are going to inhabit their state of being completely. This does not mean you pretend you see money in your account when you do not. This does not mean you act as if externally. This means you feel yourself to be internally the person who has what you desire, and you let that internal state inform how you move through your day. Let me show you how this works practically. Suppose you desire wealth. For one day, you are going to feel yourself to be a wealthy person, not someone trying to become wealthy, not someone hoping to be wealthy, a wealthy person. When you wake up as a wealthy person. How does a wealthy person feel when they wake up? Probably secure, relaxed, free. Feel this. Not as an emotion you generate, but as a state you inhabit. You are a wealthy person. This is who you are today. When you go about your morning routine, you do so as a wealthy person. You shower as someone who has financial freedom. You dress as someone who feels valuable and worthy. You eat breakfast as someone who knows they have options and resources. Notice I am not saying pretend to be rich. I am saying be the person who feels wealthy. There is a difference. Being wealthy is an internal state. It is a sense of self. It is a feeling of security, freedom, worth. And you can feel this right now regardless of your bank account. Throughout your day, every decision you make it from this state. Every thought you think it from this person. Every interaction you have it as this version of you. And here is what will happen. At first it will feel strange. Your old patterns will try to reassert themselves. Old thoughts will come. Old reactions will arise. But each time they do, you simply return to the state. You remind yourself, I am a wealthy person. This is who I am today. And you feel yourself to be that again. Do this for one full day. Not perfectly. You will slip dozens of times, but each time you slip, you return. Gently, without judgment. You just return to being the person, and something remarkable will happen. By the end of that day, the state will feel more natural. The being of it will feel more real. You will have moments where you forget you are practicing, and you simply are this person. This is saturation. You are saturating your consciousness with the new state. And the more you saturate, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more automatically you create from it. Do this for one day, then do it again the next day. Then again and again, until being this person feels more natural than being the old person. Until you are no longer returning to the state because you never left it. This is how you master the feeling. Not through intense visualization sessions, not through emotional manipulation, but through gentle, consistent saturation in the state of being what you desire to be. Let me bring everything together now. With the ultimate truth about feeling, the truth that, when fully understood, makes manifestation effortless. You are not trying to feel your desires fulfilled. You are feeling yourself to be the person whose desires fulfilled. These sound similar, but they are completely different. One is about the desire, the other is about you. One is external, the other is internal. One is temporary, the other is foundational. Your desire is just a reflection of who you feel yourself to be. Wealthy people have wealth, not because they are lucky, but because they feel themselves to be wealthy people. Loved people experience love, not because they found the right person, but because they feel themselves to be lovable. Successful people achieve success not because they worked harder, but because they feel themselves to be successful. So stop focusing on the desire. Start focusing on who you are being. Stop trying to feel like you have it. Start being the person who has it. And the having will follow automatically, inevitably, because the outer world must reflect the inner being. Tonight you have one assignment. Before you sleep, I want you to answer this question with brutal honesty. Who do I feel myself to be? Not who do you hope to be? Not who do you try to be? Who do you actually genuinely deeply feel yourself to be when no one is watching, when you are alone with your thoughts, when you are not performing or pretending? Write it down. Look at it. This is what you are creating. This is what your world is reflecting. Then ask yourself, who do I want to feel myself to be? Not what do I want to have? Who do I want to be? What kind of person has the life I desire? What is their sense of self? What is their foundational feeling? And then, starting tomorrow, you are going to practice being this person. Not perfectly, not constantly, but consciously, deliberately, persistently. You are going to shift your awareness to this version of you, and you are going to practice being them until being them feels more natural than being who you were. This is the work. This is the practice. This is mastering the feeling. The feeling is not emotion. The feeling is not excitement. The feeling is not trying. The feeling is being. You master the feeling by learning to be the person who has your desire, instead of trying to feel emotions about your desire. You master the feeling by saturating yourself in the state until it becomes natural. You master the feeling by changing your inner conversation until it matches the identity you wish to embody. You master the feeling by making it so natural that you forget you once did not have what you now have. Do this, and everything you desire must manifest. Not because you hoped hard enough, Not because you visualized perfectly, but because you became the person to whom these things naturally belong. You are not waiting to have. You are learning to be. And being always precedes having. Master the feeling, and you master your reality. Thank you and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video.
What if I told you that your future self, the one living in financial abundance right now, is desperately trying to send you a message? That wealthy version of you already exists. They're not hoping, not wishing, not grinding their way to success. They simply are successful. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to step into their reality using a method so powerful, it literally rewrites your financial destiny at the quantum level. This isn't about vision boards or positive thinking. This is about something far more radical, something Neville Goddard called the most dangerous secret in the universe. Are you ready to meet your millionaire self? Let me start by blowing your mind with something Neville Goddard discovered over 70 years ago, something that quantum physics is just now catching up to. There is no future. There is no past. There is only now. And in this eternal now, every version of you already exists simultaneously. Think about it. Right now, in some parallel reality, there's a version of you checking their 7-figure investment portfolio. There's a you who never worries about money because abundance flows to them like gravity. There's a you who makes financial decisions from a place of overflow, not scarcity. There's a you who wakes up excited about the wealth opportunities each day brings. This isn't science fiction. This is the fundamental nature of consciousness and reality. Every possibility, every potential timeline of your life exists right now in what Neville called the infinite field of imagination. The only question is, which version are you identifying with? Most people spend their entire lives identified with their current circumstances. They look at their bank account, their debt, their financial struggles, and they say, this is who I am. This is my reality. But Neville taught something revolutionary. Your current circumstances are not your identity. They're simply the outpicturing of your previous assumptions about yourself. Here's where most people get manifestation completely wrong. They think it's about wanting something so badly that the universe gives it to them. That's like trying to turn on a light by staring at the switch really hard. It's not about desire. It's not about need. It's not even about belief. It's about assumption. It's about knowing. It's about being. Neville called this the law of assumption, and it says this: whatever you assume to be true about yourself becomes your reality. Not might become, not could become. Your assumptions are literally the blueprint that reality uses to construct your experience. Right now, your subconscious mind has a story about who you are financially. Maybe it sounds like I'm not good with money, or rich people are greedy, or I don't deserve abundance, or money is hard to come by. Every single day, your reality is perfectly reflecting these assumptions back to you. Your brain is literally filtering out opportunities, ideas, and possibilities that don't match your financial identity. But here's what's incredible. Imagination, true imagination, is the only creative force in the universe. When you can imagine yourself wealthy, not as a fantasy, but as a present reality, you literally begin to shift into that parallel timeline. You start operating from the consciousness of your abundant self rather than your limited self. Your current financial reality isn't your permanent address. It's just where you've been camping, and it's time to move into your mansion. The radical truth is that your future abundant self isn't someone you're going to become. They're someone you are, just in a different state of consciousness. We're not creating a new you. We're remembering who you already are at your highest expression. This is why Neville said imagination is God. Because when you can truly embody the feeling of being wealthy, when you can sustain that state of consciousness, reality has no choice but to conform to your assumption. The quantum field responds to your state of being, not your state of wanting. So how do we make this practical? How do we step from the timeline where you're struggling financially to the timeline where money flows to you like a river? Let me give you the exact method that changed my life and the lives of thousands of others. I call this the future self-integration process, and it's built on 3 foundational pillars that work together to literally rewire your consciousness for abundance. The first pillar is what I call wealth archaeology. Most people try to manifest money by focusing on the money itself, which is like trying to grow a tree by staring at the fruit. Instead, we're going to excavate the consciousness of your wealthy self. Close your eyes and imagine that tonight, while you sleep, you're going to have the most vivid dream of your life. In this dream, you wake up as your financially abundant self. But here's the key: don't focus on the money itself. Focus on the feeling. How do you move through the world when money is never a concern? How do you breathe? How do you stand? What does confidence feel like when it's backed by genuine financial security? How do you speak? What's your energy like when you know without a doubt that you're taken care of financially? Feel into that version of you. They're not anxious about bills. They're not checking their bank account obsessively. They're not making decisions based on fear or scarcity. They make choices based on what they truly want, not what they can afford. This isn't fantasy. This is archaeology. You're uncovering the consciousness that already exists within you. Every human being has access to the frequency of abundance, because abundance is our natural state. Scarcity is learned. Limitation is programmed. But wealth consciousness is innate. Spend time with this version of yourself. What do they value? How do they treat others? What brings them joy? How do they handle challenges? What's their relationship with money like? Notice that for your wealthy self, money isn't the end goal. It's simply a tool that allows them to express their highest self more fully. The second pillar is the daily immersion protocol. This is where the transformation actually happens. Every morning before you check your phone, before you face the day, you're going to spend exactly 10 minutes living as your wealthy self. Not visualizing them, not pretending to be them, being them. Sit up in bed and literally feel yourself in their body. This isn't role-playing. This is identity shifting. Think their thoughts. I wonder which investment opportunity I should explore today. I'm so grateful for this abundance that flows through me. What amazing thing is money going to help me create today? Make decisions from their perspective throughout the day. My wealthy self would definitely invest in their health. My wealthy self would never settle for less than they deserve. My wealthy self sees money as energy to be circulated, not hoarded. Here's what's fascinating. When you consistently operate from your abundant identity, your actions automatically align with wealth creation. You start making different choices. You spot opportunities you never noticed before. You develop the confidence to ask for what you're worth. You begin to move through the world as someone who expects abundance, and abundance responds to that expectation. The third pillar is what I call the assumption audit. Throughout the day, you're going to become a detective of your own thoughts. Every time you catch yourself thinking from scarcity, I can't afford that. Money is tight. I never have enough. You're going to do something radical. You're going to stop and ask, what would my abundant self think right now? And then, this is crucial, you're going to think that thought instead. You're literally rewiring your neural pathways in real time. If you catch yourself saying, I wish I could afford that, you immediately shift to, I love how easily money flows to me for things I desire. If you find yourself thinking, I'm always broke, you pivot to, I'm amazed by how abundance finds me in unexpected ways. This isn't positive thinking. This is identity reconstruction. You're literally teaching your subconscious mind a new story about who you are financially. Now let me warn you about something crucial. The moment you start this process, your subconscious mind is going to panic. It's going to throw every excuse, every doubt, every limiting belief at you. Why? Because you're literally asking it to update its entire operating system. You're challenging the very foundation of how it understands your identity. This resistance comes in 3 distinct waves, and if you understand them, you can navigate through them instead of being derailed by them. The first wave is logical resistance. Your rational mind will say, this is impossible. I have bills, I have debt, I need to be realistic. People will think I'm crazy. This isn't how the world works. Here's what you tell that voice. I'm not ignoring my current situation. I'm choosing to operate from a higher timeline while I handle what needs to be handled. You can pay your bills and identify with your wealthy self. You can deal with debt and assume abundance. These aren't contradictory. You're simply choosing which consciousness to operate from. The second wave is emotional resistance. You might feel guilty for pretending to be wealthy when you're not. You might feel like you're lying to yourself or being delusional. You might feel unworthy of abundance or worry that you're somehow cheating. Here's the reframe. You're not lying. You're remembering that abundant self is as real as your current self. You're just choosing which one to embody. Feeling worthy of abundance isn't arrogance. It's recognizing your true nature. Every person on this planet deserves financial freedom. Every person has the right to prosper. You're not taking anything away from anyone by claiming your abundance. The third wave is social resistance. People around you might not understand your new energy. They might try to pull you back into old conversations about lack and limitation. They might say you've changed, that you're being unrealistic, that you need to come back down to earth. Your job isn't to convince them. Your job is to become so anchored in your wealthy identity that external opinions become irrelevant. Remember, most people are operating from scarcity consciousness. When you embody abundance, it can make them uncomfortable because it challenges their beliefs about what's possible. When resistance shows up, and it will, here's your secret weapon. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Say, thank you, old programming, for trying to keep me safe. But I'm choosing to step into my power now. Then immediately return to your wealthy identity. Feel into that person. Breathe as they breathe. Move as they move. I want to share something with you that Neville taught that most people miss. He said that every night when you go to sleep, you die to your current identity. And every morning when you wake up, you're reborn. Most people unconsciously choose to be reborn as the same limited version of themselves. But you have the power to be reborn as your abundant self every single morning. Think about this. Every night, you have the opportunity to die to financial struggle and be reborn into financial freedom. Every morning is a quantum leap opportunity. Every day is a chance to step into a higher timeline of your existence. I want to share a technique that Neville taught called living in the end. Instead of trying to figure out how your wealth will come, you live from the end result. You assume the feeling of already having achieved your financial goals. You think from wealth, not toward wealth. Most people think from their current circumstances toward their desired reality. But quantum wealth works in reverse. You think from your desired reality toward your current circumstances. You become the person who already has what you want, and then you let reality catch up to your assumption. Here's a profound exercise from Neville. Before you go to sleep each night, replay your day as if you were already wealthy. Not as fantasy, but as fact. Replay conversations you had, but from the consciousness of your abundant self. Replay decisions you made, but from the perspective of someone for whom money is never an issue. Feel yourself moving through your day with the calm confidence of financial security. Feel the peace that comes from knowing you're completely taken care of. Feel the joy of being able to be generous without second-guessing yourself. Feel the freedom to make choices based on what lights you up, not what you can afford. This isn't just visualization. This is identity construction. You're literally building the neural pathways of wealth consciousness. You're training your subconscious mind to accept abundance as normal, natural, and inevitable. Now let me address something important. Some of you might be thinking, but I have real bills. I have real debt. I can't just pretend these things don't exist. And you're absolutely right. We're not denying your current circumstances. We're choosing not to be defined by them. Your wealthy self doesn't ignore problems. They solve them from a higher level of consciousness. They don't avoid responsibility. They handle it with grace and wisdom. They don't live in denial. They live in possibility. When you embody your abundant self while dealing with current challenges, something magical happens. Solutions appear that you couldn't see from your limited perspective. Resources show up that weren't available when you were operating from scarcity. Opportunities open up that were invisible to your struggling self. This is what Neville meant when he said, "You are already that which you want to be." And your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. Your wealthy self isn't coming. They're here. They're you. They've always been you. You've just been looking at yourself through the wrong lens. Now here's where this gets really exciting. As you consistently embody your abundant self, something I call the elegant flow begins to happen. This is when your external reality starts to shift to match your internal state, but it happens so naturally, so effortlessly, that it almost feels like magic. You might notice unexpected money coming your way. Maybe it's a refund you forgot about, a bonus you weren't expecting, or money from a source you never considered. You might find investment opportunities appearing that seem perfectly suited for you. People might start treating you differently, with more respect and recognition, even though nothing external has changed yet. You might discover that you naturally start making better financial decisions. You develop an intuitive sense about investments, business opportunities, or career moves. You become the type of person that money flows to because you're operating from the consciousness that attracts abundance. This is the elegant flow of quantum wealth. You're not forcing anything. You're not pushing or struggling. You're simply becoming who you already are at your highest expression. Wealth becomes as natural as breathing. Abundance becomes your default state. Money flows to you because you are the type of person money flows to. Your wealthy self has developed what I call prosperity posture. They carry themselves differently because they know their worth. They speak with quiet confidence because they've never doubted their value. They make decisions quickly because they trust themselves completely. They treat money as energy to be circulated, not scarcity to be hoarded. Start embodying these qualities now. Stand taller because you're remembering your true stature. Speak with authority because you're connected to infinite wisdom. Make decisions from trust because your abundant self never operates from fear. Treat every financial interaction as an opportunity to circulate abundance. Here's something powerful. Your wealthy self has transcended the need to prove anything to anyone. They don't need to show off their wealth or convince others of their success. They simply embody prosperity so naturally that it radiates from them without effort. One of the most transformative aspects of this work is how it changes your relationship with money itself. Instead of seeing money as something outside of you that you need to chase, capture, or convince to come to you, you begin to understand that money is simply energy responding to your consciousness. Your abundant self doesn't worship money or fear it. They respect it as a tool for creating positive impact. They understand that money amplifies who you are, so they focus on becoming someone worthy of amplification. They know that the more conscious they become, the more money will trust them with greater abundance. This shift in relationship is everything. When you stop making money more powerful than you are, when you stop putting it on a pedestal or treating it as the solution to all your problems, it starts flowing to you naturally. Money is attracted to consciousness that sees it clearly, neither as savior nor as enemy, but as neutral energy to be directed toward meaningful purposes. Let me share something that might surprise you. Your wealthy self is actually more generous than your struggling self. Why? Because they operate from overflow, not scarcity. They know that giving doesn't diminish them. It expands them. They understand that money is meant to flow, and the more freely they allow it to flow through them, the more it trusts them with abundance. This is why truly wealthy people often become more philanthropic as their wealth grows. It's not because they have so much they don't know what to do with it. It's because they understand the energetic principle: what you freely give, freely returns to you multiplied. As you embody your abundant self, you'll naturally want to contribute, to create value, to make a positive impact. This isn't a side effect of wealth consciousness. It's a core component. Your abundant self knows that their prosperity is meant to bless others, and this knowing actually accelerates their abundance. Let me address something that might be coming up for you. You might be wondering, if this works so well, why isn't everyone doing it? The answer is simple: because it requires you to believe something that contradicts everything you've been taught about how success works. We've been conditioned to believe that you have to work harder, sacrifice more, and struggle longer to achieve financial success. We've been taught that abundance is reserved for the lucky few, the exceptionally talented, or those born into privilege. We've been programmed to see money as scarce and ourselves as unworthy. But Neville discovered something that threatens this entire paradigm. Consciousness is the only reality. Your external world is simply reflecting your internal assumptions back to you. Change your assumptions, and your world changes automatically. This is why this method is so powerful, and why so few people use it. It requires you to take 100% responsibility for your financial reality. It requires you to stop looking outside yourself for the source of your abundance, and start recognizing that you are the source. Your abundant self already exists in the quantum field of infinite possibility. They're not waiting for the right circumstances. They're not hoping for a lucky break. They simply are prosperous. And the moment you align with that consciousness, you begin to experience the reality they've always lived. Listen, you have a choice right now. You can close this video and go back to the same financial reality you've been living, the same patterns, the same limitations, the same struggles. Or you can decide that today is the day you meet your wealthy self and never look back. I want you to try this for exactly 30 days, not half-heartedly, not when you feel like it. Every single day, step into your abundant identity like it's the most natural thing in the world. Embody your wealthy self so completely that scarcity consciousness becomes foreign to you. Because here's the truth. Your future self is waiting. They've been waiting for you to remember who you really are. They have so much abundance to share with you, so many opportunities to reveal, so much wealth to pour into your experience. But they can only give you what you're willing to receive. And you can only receive from the consciousness of abundance. This isn't just about money. This is about stepping into your full power as a conscious creator. This is about recognizing that you're not a victim of circumstances. You're the author of your reality. This is about understanding that limitation is always self-imposed and abundance is always available. Your wealthy self isn't just rich. They're free. They're confident. They're generous. They're peaceful. They're powerful. They're everything you've always known you could be, but were afraid to claim. Your wealthy self is calling. They've been calling your whole life. Are you finally ready to answer? The quantum field of infinite abundance is waiting for you to step into your power. Your $1 million self is real. They're here. And they're ready to live through you starting right now. Remember, you are already that which you seek to become. My friends, tonight I want to reveal to you the most profound secret about manifestation. A secret so powerful that once you truly grasp it, your entire reality will transform before your very eyes. Everyone talks about manifestation as if it's this magical process where you set an intention, think positively, visualize the outcome, and then the universe delivers what you asked for. But I must tell you the uncomfortable truth that most teachers will never share with you. Manifestation doesn't work simply because you want it to. It doesn't respond to your desire. It doesn't answer your affirmations. It responds to something far more powerful, far more consistent, and far more subconscious. It responds to your energetic state of being. This is the fundamental principle that most manifestation teachers either don't understand or don't emphasize enough. You can repeat affirmations all day long. You can write your goals in a journal. You can meditate, visualize, create vision boards. These tools are all useful, my dear friends. But if deep down, your emotional signature is still rooted in lack, fear, doubt, or unworthiness, then those are the frequencies you're broadcasting into what the mystics call the quantum field. And this field, as modern quantum physics now shows us, doesn't respond to your intentions. It responds to your signal. I want you to understand something profound. Your personality creates your personal reality. But what I really mean is that your habitual thoughts and emotions form an energetic blueprint that the field then reflects back to you as your life circumstances. So the real secret isn't about asking for what you want. It's about becoming the version of you who already has it. It's about aligning your mind, your heart, and your body into a coherent signal that the universe can recognize and mirror back. This is where most people become trapped, my friends. They set intentions, but remain emotionally addicted to their old patterns. They say they want abundance, but live in a state of scarcity. They claim they want love, but operate from fear of rejection. They strive for health, but hold on to stress and resentment. And so, despite all their conscious efforts, nothing changes. They keep seeing the same patterns, meeting the same challenges, attracting the same types of relationships and opportunities. Or worse, they manifest what they fear instead of what they desire. This is not bad luck. This is not failure. This is the fundamental principle at work. The quantum field responds to your subconscious programming far more than to your conscious desires. It's not about what you're thinking once in a while. It's about what you're being all the time. And here's where it becomes even more fascinating. Your subconscious patterns are not just mental, they are embodied. Your body has become so conditioned to your past emotional states that even when your mind says, "I am abundant," your body screams, "I am still broke." This internal conflict sends a mixed signal to the quantum field. And in quantum mechanics, coherence is everything. Without coherence, there is no constructive interference, no amplification of your signal, no collapsing of the desired potential into manifested reality. This is why so many people feel like manifestation doesn't work for them. They try, they push, they affirm, but they don't shift their energetic baseline. They don't realize that manifestation is not about getting what you want. It's about becoming a vibrational match to the reality you want to experience. When you truly understand this, when you get this at the deepest level, you experience the breakthrough that makes manifestation instantaneous. But here's what you must understand. This transformation can't happen through willpower alone. You can't fake it till you make it by forcing yourself to think different thoughts. The subconscious mind and the body must be reprogrammed at the emotional and energetic levels. This is why true transformational practices focus not just on visualization, but on evoking elevated emotional states, gratitude, love, abundance before the external circumstances change. Because when you feel abundant, even while your bank account is empty, you are sending a new coherent signal to the field. And the field, being a mirror, responds in kind. Now, let me address something crucial. Most people misunderstand the process entirely. They believe that by changing their thoughts alone, they can change their lives. It's the classic teaching. Change your thoughts, change your reality. And while there is truth in that statement, it's dangerously incomplete. Thought is powerful, but it is only one part of the equation. If thought were enough, then every person who ever made a vision board would be living their dream life by now. If repeating affirmations every morning guaranteed change, then everyone would be wealthy, healthy, and deeply fulfilled. But reality shows us something else entirely, that many who think positively still find themselves trapped in old cycles, repeating patterns of struggle, scarcity, and frustration. Why is that? Because the quantum field does not respond to what you are thinking occasionally. It responds to the signal you are emitting consistently. And your signal is not just made up of your thoughts. It is a synthesis of your beliefs, your emotions, your subconscious programs, and your energetic state. Research in epigenetics shows us that it is the subconscious mind that drives 95% of our behavior and perceptions. That means, while your conscious mind may be diligently affirming abundance, your subconscious is still running programs of lack, fear, unworthiness, or failure. The quantum field is impartial. It does not weigh your wishes against your fears. It simply mirrors back to you the dominant frequency you are emitting. And if your emotional signature, the feelings that you are most practiced at, remains rooted in scarcity, then no amount of positive thinking will override that signal. This is why the concept of coherence is so crucial in this work. Coherence between your thoughts and your feelings. When what you think and what you feel are in conflict, the signal is incoherent, scattered, disorganized, weak. But when they are aligned, when you think thoughts of abundance and simultaneously feel abundant, then your signal becomes powerful, coherent, and magnetic. This is the cornerstone that most manifestation advice leaves out. It's not about thinking your way to success, but about feeling your way into alignment. Emotion is the language of the body, and your body is the instrument that transmits your energetic signal into the field. If your body is addicted to the stress hormones of survival, like cortisol and adrenaline, then it doesn't matter how many times you say, "I am abundant." Your body is still saying, "I am in danger." And it is that emotional baseline, not your affirmations, that the quantum field is responding to. This is why so many people feel stuck. They believe they are doing all the right things. They meditate, they visualize, they repeat affirmations, but they don't feel any different. And because they don't feel different, they keep broadcasting the same old signal into the field. The result, the field mirrors back the same old reality. You must understand, it is not enough to think about what you want. You must become it emotionally and energetically before it arrives. The subconscious mind, shaped by years of past experiences, traumas, beliefs, and cultural conditioning, acts like a filter. It determines how much of your conscious desires can actually pass through into your lived experience. And unless you deliberately reprogram this filter, your manifestations will continue to be blocked or distorted by old subconscious scripts. Now let me help you understand something profound about the nature of reality itself. The quantum field is a realm of infinite possibilities. Every potential outcome already exists as a wave of probability, waiting to be collapsed into form by your observation and vibrational match. But here's what most don't realize. You don't observe with your eyes alone. You observe with your entire being, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your energetic state. The observer effect is not just a scientific principle, it is a spiritual technology. When you observe your desired reality with thoughts of longing and feelings of lack, you are not truly aligned with that reality. You are observing it as something separate from you, something you hope to one day achieve. But when you observe it as something that already exists within you, when you assume the emotional state of already having it, you collapse that potential into form. This is why thought alone doesn't work, because unless it is infused with the corresponding emotional and energetic frequency, it remains a mere possibility rather than a manifested reality. The science of instant manifestation is not about wishful thinking or magical rituals. It's about aligning your entire being, your thoughts, your emotions, your subconscious patterns, and your energetic state with the reality you want to experience. At the most fundamental level, everything in the universe is made up of energy vibrating at specific frequencies. This includes your thoughts, your emotions, your physical body, and every object and experience you can perceive. The quantum field is a vast sea of potential, a matrix of infinite possibilities where all potential realities exist simultaneously as probability waves. These waves remain in superposition, existing in multiple states at once, until they are collapsed into a single observable reality through an act of observation. But here's what many don't realize. You are always observing, always measuring, not just with your physical senses, but with your consciousness, your beliefs, your expectations, and your emotional state. Your very presence as a conscious being is a continual act of observation that influences how reality materializes around you. The quantum field doesn't respond to random thoughts or fleeting desires. It responds to the dominant frequencies you embody most consistently. This is where the concept of resonance becomes crucial. When a system vibrates at a particular frequency, it can cause another system to begin vibrating at that same frequency, a phenomenon known as entrainment. In the context of manifestation, when your internal state is vibrating in resonance with the reality you desire, the quantum field begins to entrain to your signal, organizing circumstances, opportunities, and synchronicities that bring that potential reality into form. This is why instant manifestation is possible. Not because you have manipulated the universe through force, but because you have become such a coherent, resonant signal that the field has no choice but to reflect that frequency back to you. It's like tuning a radio. When you align precisely with the frequency of the station you want to hear, the music becomes clear and immediate. But if you are even slightly off, all you get is static and distortion. When you are in coherence, your body moves out of the survival state and into a state of creation. In this state, your brain waves shift, your heart emits a more organized electromagnetic field, and your entire being becomes a precise, resonant transmitter, broadcasting your desired reality into the quantum field. The field, in turn, responds by collapsing the potential that matches your frequency. This is the essence of instant manifestation, not an act of willpower, but an act of resonance. You don't force the universe to comply with your desires. You align yourself so completely with your desired reality that the universe has no choice but to respond. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. This simple, yet profound instruction is the key to instant manifestation. It's not about waiting for external evidence to feel successful, abundant, loved, or healthy. It's about generating those feelings now, independent of circumstances, thereby aligning your signal with the reality where those conditions already exist. Now that you understand the science, let me share with you how to actually activate this missing key within yourself. How do you shift from intellectual understanding to embodied practice, from conceptual knowledge to lived experience? The first and most essential step is to move from thinking to feeling. The thoughts we think are the electrical charge in the quantum field, but it is the emotions we feel that provide the magnetic component. Together they create an electromagnetic signature that broadcasts our state of being into the quantum field. But here's the critical point. Most people try to change their lives by only changing their thoughts, neglecting the emotional programming that continues to emit the old familiar signal of their past. To activate the missing key, you must begin by deliberately cultivating elevated emotional states, not in response to external conditions, but as a conscious choice independent of circumstances. This means feeling gratitude before the thing you desire arrives, feeling abundance before the money shows up, feeling love before the relationship manifests. This is the true secret. When you feel as if your manifestation is already present, you collapse the potential from a wave of probability into a particle of reality. Your heart, for example, has its own electromagnetic field, measurable several feet beyond your body. When you experience emotions like gratitude and love, your heart's field becomes more coherent, sending harmonious signals to the brain and shifting your body into a state of regulation and balance. This state of heart-brain coherence is not just pleasant. It is essential for creating a powerful unified signal that the quantum field can recognize and respond to. True transformational practices are structured precisely for this purpose, to help people break free from the habitual patterns of their past and to entrain their bodies to the emotions of their future. When you practice elevated emotional states consistently, your body learns to trust that new state as your new normal. This is how you overcome the biological addiction to survival emotions like fear, anger, and unworthiness. But emotional mastery alone is not enough. The second step is embodiment. This means that your new state of being must be integrated not just in meditation, but in your daily life. How do you carry yourself? How do you speak, act, and make decisions? Are your behaviors aligned with the reality you are intending to manifest? If you want to manifest success, but your habits reflect procrastination and self-sabotage, then you are not embodying the signal of success. Embodiment requires that you show up every day as if you already are the person you are becoming. You make decisions from that place. You set boundaries from that place. You relate to others from that place. This is where the missing key becomes active, not just in isolated moments of meditation, but as a continuous state of being. The third crucial element is presence. Most people live their lives caught in the familiar past or the predictable future, rarely inhabiting the present moment. But manifestation occurs in the now, because the now is the only place where the quantum field is accessible. The field is not something out there in some distant future. It is here, vibrating around you and through you at all times, waiting for you to tune your signal and engage with it consciously. Presence means letting go of the known, your habitual thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and stepping into the unknown, where all possibilities exist. This can feel terrifying because the known, even if uncomfortable, is familiar and predictable. The unknown requires trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the process. Trust in the intelligence of the field. The field is a mirror. It reflects not what you desire, but who you are being in this moment. One of the most effective ways to cultivate presence is through breath work. Conscious breathing brings your awareness out of the mental noise and into the body, grounding you in the here and now. It shifts your physiology out of the stress response and into a state of openness, allowing you to access the deeper layers of your subconscious and to broadcast a more coherent signal. Another essential tool is visualization, but not in the superficial sense of imagining images in your mind's eye. True visualization involves embodying the emotional and physiological state associated with the vision. It's about rehearsing in your body the experience of already living that reality, until your nervous system no longer distinguishes between what is imagined and what is real. Neuroplasticity ensures that the brain rewires accordingly, creating new neural pathways that support your new identity. In practical terms, it means that you wake up each day and deliberately choose to think, feel, and act in alignment with your desired reality. It means that when old triggers arise, you recognize them for what they are, vestiges of your past programming, and you choose to respond differently. It means that you stop waiting for your external reality to change before you feel good, and instead, you make feeling good your new baseline, knowing that your internal state is the cause, not the effect. When you live this way consistently, something remarkable happens. The gap between intention and manifestation shrinks. Synchronicities increase. Opportunities arise seemingly out of nowhere. People, resources, and experiences align with precision and speed. Now that you've learned how to activate the missing key behind manifestation, you stand at a threshold. The moment where theory must become practice, where knowledge must evolve into embodiment. This is the point where you shift from living as a passive observer of your circumstances to becoming a conscious creator of your reality. And this shift changes everything. It is no longer about reacting to life, about waiting for external conditions to improve, so that you can finally feel happy, abundant, or loved. It is about realizing that your internal state is the creative force that shapes the very fabric of your existence. The field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being consistently, day after day, moment after moment. To live as a conscious creator means to take radical responsibility for your energy. It means acknowledging that your thoughts are not harmless musings, but powerful frequencies that ripple through the quantum field, influencing the probabilities that collapse into your lived experience. It means recognizing that your habitual emotions are not just responses to your environment, but creative forces that magnetize experiences to you. This level of responsibility can feel overwhelming at first, because it dismantles the comforting illusion that life happens to you. But within this responsibility lies your greatest freedom. Because if you are the one creating your reality through your energetic signature, then you have the power to change it at any time. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your destiny. Living as a conscious creator requires vigilance and compassion. Vigilance to become aware of the moments when you slip back into old patterns, when fear, doubt, or unworthiness attempt to pull you back into familiar states of being. And compassion to understand that these patterns are not flaws, but survival mechanisms you developed to navigate the world in the past. They served a purpose, but they no longer define you. We are never more powerful than when we are conscious of our power. This is the essence of conscious creation, to know beyond doubt that your reality is a direct reflection of your energetic state, and that by mastering that state, you can shape your life in profound and miraculous ways. But remember, becoming a conscious creator is not a destination. It is a practice. It is a way of being that you cultivate through your choices, your attention, and your presence. Some days will feel effortless. Others will feel challenging. But every moment offers you an opportunity to realign, to choose coherence, to embody the version of you who is already living the life you desire. The field is always listening. It does not judge. It does not discriminate. It simply reflects. So the question you must ask yourself is not whether this works. It is always working. The question is, Are you ready to align with it consistently, courageously, and consciously? Your journey doesn't end here. It is just beginning. The next version of you, the one who lives effortlessly in alignment with your highest desires, is already waiting within you. All that remains is for you to step into that version, to broadcast that signal into the field, and to allow the universe to mirror it back to you in ways more beautiful and abundant than you can possibly imagine. So take a breath, feel the gratitude for what is already unfolding. The field responds not to your words, not to your wishes, but to your state of being. And the moment you change that state, you don't need to ask for your manifestation anymore. It becomes inevitable. Do you ever feel stuck, like your ideal life is just out of reach? What if the solution isn't about creating something new, but finding a version of yourself that already exists within the quantum realm? Today, we're exploring the mind-bending science that could unlock your ability to manifest desired realities by navigating your parallel selves. What if the few who already has everything you desire isn't in the future, but exists right now in a parallel reality? And what if I told you there's a way to access that version of yourself, to literally manifest your deepest desires by tapping into the quantum field? Get ready to redefine what's possible, because what you're about to discover will challenge everything you thought you knew about the nature of reality itself. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. According to cutting-edge physics, the universe you're experiencing right now might be just one of infinite realities existing simultaneously. This isn't science fiction. This is modern quantum mechanics, and it's fundamentally changing how we understand existence itself. The quantum field is the fundamental fabric of reality itself, an invisible energy matrix from which all matter and possibilities emerge. Think of it as the cosmic internet, where every potential version of your life exists as data, waiting to be accessed. But here's where it gets fascinating. This field isn't just some abstract concept that scientists study in laboratories. It's the very foundation of your existence, responding to your thoughts, emotions, and intentions every single moment of every single day. String theory suggests that reality operates on multiple dimensions we can't perceive with our five senses, while the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics proposes that every decision, every moment, every possibility branches into countless parallel universes. In one reality, you took that job offer that would have changed your entire career trajectory. In another, you moved to that city you've always dreamed about. In yet another, you're already living your most abundant, fulfilled, joyous life. These aren't just theoretical possibilities. According to the mathematics of quantum physics, these realities are as real as the one you're experiencing right now. But here's the fascinating question that scientists are starting to explore, and it's a question that could revolutionize your understanding of personal transformation. If these realities exist, and the math suggests they do, can we consciously interact with them? Can we tune into the frequency of our most successful, happiest, most fulfilled parallel selves? And more importantly, can we learn to shift from the reality we're currently experiencing to one that aligns with our deepest desires? Here's where it gets personal, and where everything you thought you knew about yourself is about to shift. You are not a fixed entity. You're not stuck being the same person forever, trapped in the same patterns, limited by the same beliefs, or confined to the same circumstances. At the quantum level, you are a dynamic energy field, constantly vibrating, constantly shifting, constantly choosing which reality to align with. Every single moment, you're making quantum decisions that determine which parallel universe you'll experience next. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, creates what I call your vibrational signature. This signature acts like a radio frequency, naturally attracting and aligning with realities that match your energetic state. Think about this for a moment. When you're in a state of gratitude and abundance, don't you notice more opportunities appearing in your life? When you're vibrating with love and appreciation, don't relationships seem to flow more smoothly? Conversely, when you're stuck in fear and scarcity, doesn't it feel like doors keep closing, like the universe is working against you? This isn't coincidence, and it's not just positive thinking. This is quantum physics in action. Your parallel selves are essentially different vibrational versions of you, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions. There's the confident you who speaks up in meetings and takes bold action toward your dreams. There's the abundant you who makes decisions from a place of plenty rather than lack. There's the creative you who expresses your gifts fearlessly. There's the loving you who attracts deep, meaningful relationships. There's the healthy you who feels energized and vital. There's the successful you who has already achieved what you're currently working toward. They're not fantasies or wishful thinking. They're quantum possibilities that exist in parallel dimensions, operating at different frequencies, living different realities based on different vibrational states. And here's the incredible part that most people never realize. You can learn to tune into these frequencies intentionally. You can consciously shift from one vibrational state to another, effectively moving from one reality to a parallel reality where your desired outcomes already exist. This is the secret that quantum manifestation masters understand. You don't need to create your ideal life from scratch. You need to align with the version of it that already exists. Now let's get practical. How do you actually shift from the reality you're experiencing to the one you desire? How do you move from the current version of yourself to the parallel self who's already living your dream life? The secret lies in understanding that manifestation isn't about forcing the universe to give you something. It's not about pushing and struggling and trying to make things happen through sheer willpower. True manifestation is about aligning your vibrational frequency with the parallel self who already has what you want. First, let's talk about focused intention. And this is crucial because most people get this completely wrong. This isn't casual wishing or hoping things will somehow work out. This is laser-focused clarity about which version of yourself you want to embody. When you set a clear intention, you're essentially programming your quantum GPS to navigate toward that specific reality. You're telling the quantum field exactly which parallel self you want to align with. But here's what most people miss. Your intention must be specific, emotionally charged, and consistently maintained. The quantum field responds to clarity and emotional intensity, not vague wishes. But intention alone isn't enough. Here's what separates those who successfully shift realities from those who remain stuck in the same patterns. Visualization becomes your quantum bridge. When you visualize with emotional intensity, you're not just daydreaming or engaging in wishful thinking. You're actually rehearsing the vibrational state of your parallel self. Your brain begins firing in the same neural patterns as the version of you who already lives that reality. Scientists have discovered that the brain can't distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one, which means when you visualize consistently and emotionally, you're literally rewiring your neural pathways to match those of your desired parallel self. Think of it like this. If you want to tune into a specific radio station, you adjust the frequency dial until the signal becomes clear. Visualization with emotion is how you adjust your personal frequency dial. The more vividly you can imagine being the version of yourself who has already achieved your desires, the more you align with that quantum reality. But here's the key. It's not just about seeing the end result. You need to embody the feeling state, the emotional signature, the complete vibrational experience of that parallel self. Positive affirmations work because they literally reprogram the quantum field around you. When you declare, "I am abundant," you're not lying to yourself or trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. You're acknowledging the parallel reality where that statement is already true, and inviting that frequency into your current experience. But most people use affirmations incorrectly. They say the words without feeling the truth of them. They repeat phrases while their emotional state contradicts what they're affirming. True quantum affirmations must be felt as truth in your body, not just spoken with your mouth. Now, you might be thinking this sounds too good to be true. Let me share what the research actually says, because the science behind these concepts is absolutely fascinating and increasingly supported by peer-reviewed research. Quantum entanglement shows us that particles can instantly affect each other across vast distances, maintaining a connection that transcends space and time. If subatomic particles can influence reality through connection, Imagine what your consciousness can do when properly focused and aligned. Your thoughts and emotions are quantum events, and they ripple through the field of infinite possibilities, attracting experiences that match their vibrational signature. Neuroplasticity research reveals that visualization literally rewires your brain. When you consistently imagine yourself living differently, thinking differently, feeling differently, your neural pathways begin mirroring those of someone who actually lives that way. Dr. Joe Dispenza's research shows that people who practice heart-brain coherence and elevated emotional states can literally change their gene expression, their neural networks, and their electromagnetic field. This isn't just mental training. This is physical transformation at the cellular level. The observer effect in quantum physics demonstrates that consciousness itself influences reality at the quantum level. The very act of observation collapses quantum possibilities into physical reality. Your attention and intention aren't passive, they're active forces that shape what manifests in your experience. When you focus your attention on a particular outcome with clear intention and elevated emotion, you're literally participating in the quantum creation process. Double-slit experiments have shown that particles behave differently when they're being observed versus when they're not. This suggests that consciousness plays a fundamental role in determining physical reality. If consciousness can influence the behavior of subatomic particles, then your conscious choice of which parallel self to embody could theoretically influence which quantum reality you experience. This isn't mysticism disguised as science. This is science catching up to what mystics, shamans, and spiritual teachers have known for centuries. The quantum field responds to consciousness. Reality is far more fluid and malleable than we've been taught to believe. You have far more power to influence your experience than you've ever imagined. But let's go even deeper into the practical application of these principles. How do you identify which parallel self you want to embody? How do you know if you're successfully shifting your vibrational frequency? How do you maintain alignment when your current circumstances seem to contradict your desired reality? First, you need to get crystal clear about who you want to become, not just what you want to have. Most people focus on external outcomes, the money, the relationship, the house, the career success. But your parallel selves are differentiated by their internal states, their ways of being, their vibrational signatures. The wealthy version of you doesn't just have more money. They think differently about abundance. They feel differently about their worth. They make decisions from a completely different energetic foundation. The confident version of you doesn't just act confident. They have a fundamentally different relationship with themselves and their capabilities. So instead of asking, what do I want? Start asking, who do I want to be? How does the version of you who has achieved your desires think about themselves? How do they move through the world? What beliefs do they hold? How do they respond to challenges? What does their inner dialogue sound like? How do they feel when they wake up in the morning? These are the details that create vibrational specificity. Here's a powerful technique that quantum manifestation masters use. They create what I call a parallel self profile. They write detailed descriptions of their desired parallel self, not just the external circumstances, but the complete internal and external experience. They describe their thoughts, their feelings, their daily routines, their relationships, their challenges and how they handle them, their moments of joy and celebration. The more detailed and emotionally vivid this profile becomes, the easier it is to align with that vibrational frequency. But here's where most people get stuck. And this is absolutely crucial to understand. You cannot manifest from a state of lack or desperation. If you're trying to become abundant because you feel poor, you're actually reinforcing the vibration of poverty. If you're trying to attract love because you feel lonely, you're amplifying the frequency of loneliness. The quantum field responds to your current vibrational state, not your desired future state. This means you must find a way to embody the feeling of already having what you desire, even before it manifests physically. This is what I call quantum faith, the ability to feel grateful for what hasn't yet appeared in your physical reality. It's the capacity to feel abundant before the money arrives, to feel loved before the relationship manifests, to feel successful before the external validation comes. This isn't delusion or denial. This is quantum alignment. You're choosing to vibrate at the frequency of your desired parallel self instead of the frequency of your current circumstances. Let me share a profound technique that can accelerate this process. Morning quantum attunement. Every morning before you check your phone, before you start thinking about your to-do list, before you engage with the external world, you spend time connecting with your desired parallel self. You close your eyes and step into their reality. You feel what they feel, think what they think, experience what they experience. You let their vibrational signature fill your entire being. You become them, not just in imagination, but in energetic reality. This isn't just visualization. This is quantum identity shifting. You're literally tuning your energy field to match that of your parallel self. And here's what's fascinating. The more consistently you do this, the more your external reality begins to shift to match your internal vibrational state. Opportunities start appearing. People start responding to you differently. Circumstances begin aligning in ways that seem almost magical, but are actually the natural result of quantum alignment. But what about resistance? What about the voice in your head that says this is too good to be true? Or people like me don't get to live like that. Or I don't deserve this level of success and happiness. These resistant thoughts and beliefs create vibrational static that interferes with your ability to align with your desired parallel self. They're like radio interference that distorts the signal you're trying to tune into. Here's how to work with resistance rather than against it. Acknowledge these limiting beliefs as remnants of old programming, old vibrational patterns that belong to a parallel self you're choosing to move away from. Don't fight them or try to suppress them. That only gives them more energy. Instead, thank them for trying to protect you, and then consciously choose to align with a different vibrational truth. For example, if the thought, "I'm not smart enough to be successful," arises, you might say, "Thank you for trying to protect me from disappointment. But I'm choosing to align with the parallel self who knows their intelligence is more than adequate for their success." You're not denying the old belief or fighting it. You're simply choosing a different vibrational reality. This brings us to one of the most important aspects of quantum manifestation that nobody talks about, the transition period. When you start shifting your vibrational frequency, there's often a period where your external reality hasn't caught up to your internal transformation yet. This is when most people give up, thinking the process isn't working. But this transition period is actually a sign that the quantum shift is occurring. During this time, you might experience what I call vibrational turbulence. Situations that seem to contradict your desired reality. Challenges that test your commitment to your new vibrational identity. Or old patterns that seem to intensify before they dissolve. This isn't the universe working against you. This is the old quantum reality, making its final attempts to maintain itself before the new reality fully manifests. The key during this transition period is to maintain your vibrational alignment regardless of external appearances. Keep embodying your parallel self even when circumstances seem to suggest it's not working. Keep feeling abundant even when the bills pile up. Keep feeling confident even when you face rejection. Keep feeling worthy even when others doubt you. Your unwavering commitment to your new vibrational identity is what allows the quantum shift to complete itself. Here's something else that's crucial to understand. Quantum manifestation isn't always about changing your external circumstances. Sometimes it's about shifting to a parallel reality where those same circumstances exist, but your relationship to them is completely different. Maybe the parallel self you're meant to embody finds joy and fulfillment in situations that your current self finds challenging. Maybe they have a different perspective that transforms struggle into growth, obstacles into opportunities, setbacks into setups for greater success. This is why the focus must always be on who you're being, not just what you're having. When you embody the vibrational signature of your most empowered, joyful, abundant parallel self, your entire experience of life transforms, often before any external changes occur. Let's talk about another advanced technique, quantum scripting. This involves writing detailed descriptions of your life from the perspective of your desired parallel self, but written in present tense, as if it's already your reality. You describe your typical day, your relationships, your work, your feelings, your thoughts, your experiences, all from the vibrational state of the parallel self you want to embody. But here's the crucial part. When you write these scripts, you must feel them as true. You must let yourself experience the emotions of that reality as you write. You're not writing fiction, you're connecting with a quantum reality that already exists. The more emotionally invested you become in these scripts, the more your vibrational frequency aligns with that parallel self. Some people create multiple scripts for different aspects of their desired reality, their ideal day, their perfect relationship, their dream career, their optimal health, their financial abundance. The key is to make these scripts so emotionally compelling that reading them immediately shifts your vibrational state. Now, let's address something that often confuses people: the role of action in quantum manifestation. Some people think that if they just visualize and affirm and align vibrationally, everything will magically appear without any effort on their part. But here's the truth. Inspired action is a crucial component of quantum manifestation. The difference is that this action comes from alignment rather than desperation, from joy rather than fear, from trust rather than doubt. When you're aligned with your desired parallel self, you'll feel inspired to take certain actions. These won't feel forced or difficult. They'll feel like natural expressions of who you're becoming. You might feel inspired to learn a new skill, to reach out to certain people, to pursue particular opportunities, to make specific changes in your life. This inspired action is actually part of the quantum manifestation process. It's how the universe orchestrates the physical manifestation of your new reality. The key is to distinguish between inspired action and desperate action. Inspired action feels energizing, exciting, and aligned. It comes from a place of, I get to do this, rather than I have to do this. Desperate action feels heavy, forced, and exhausting. It comes from a place of fear and lack, rather than trust and abundance. Here's another profound aspect of quantum manifestation: the ripple effect. When you shift your vibrational frequency and align with a different parallel self, it doesn't just change your personal experience. It affects everyone around you. Your family members, friends, colleagues, and even strangers you interact with begin responding to your new energetic signature. Relationships transform, opportunities emerge, and synchronicities multiply because you're literally existing in a different quantum reality. This is why personal transformation is ultimately a gift to the world. When you embody your most empowered, joyful, abundant parallel self, you give others permission to do the same. You become a living example of what's possible when someone consciously works with quantum principles to create their desired reality. But here's something even deeper. As you become more skilled at quantum manifestation, you begin to realize that you're not just shifting between parallel versions of yourself, you're actually participating in the evolution of consciousness itself. Every time you choose love over fear, abundance over scarcity, empowerment over victimhood, you're contributing to the collective shift toward higher vibrational realities. This brings us to the concept of quantum responsibility. With the power to consciously navigate parallel realities comes the responsibility to choose realities that serve not just your personal desires, but the highest good of all. The most evolved quantum manifestation practitioners understand that their personal transformation is intimately connected to the transformation of humanity as a whole. So what does this mean for your life right now, today? It means that manifesting isn't about creating something from nothing. It's about aligning with what already exists in the infinite field of possibilities. Every goal you have, every dream you're chasing, every desire that stirs your soul, there's a parallel version of you who has already achieved it. Your job isn't to figure out how it will happen through struggle and force. Your job is to become the vibrational match for the reality you desire, and let the quantum field orchestrate the perfect unfolding. Here's your quantum transformation challenge. And this is where your new reality begins. Choose one aspect of your life you're ready to shift. Maybe it's your relationship with money, your confidence in relationships, your creative expression, your physical health, or your sense of purpose. Now, instead of focusing on what you currently lack or what's wrong with your current situation, tune into the frequency of the parallel self who has already mastered this aspect of life. Spend at least 20 minutes each day embodying this parallel self. Feel their confidence, their joy, their ease, their wisdom. Think their thoughts, feel their feelings, imagine their daily experience. Make this practice so emotionally vivid that your body begins to believe it's already your reality. And then pay attention to the inspired actions that arise from this aligned state. Follow those impulses with trust and excitement. But don't just do this once or twice and expect miraculous changes overnight. Commit to this practice for at least 30 days, maintaining your vibrational alignment, regardless of what shows up in your external reality during this transition period. Watch what happens when you stop trying to force change and start aligning with the reality that's already waiting for you in the quantum field. Remember, the quantum field is responding to you right now, in this very moment. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold is sending ripples through infinite parallel realities. The question isn't whether you can manifest your desired reality. You're already manifesting constantly. The question is, which parallel self will you consciously choose to embody? Which quantum reality will you align with? Which version of your infinite potential will you bring into physical expression? You have the power to consciously navigate between infinite versions of yourself. You have the ability to align with realities that seemed impossible just moments ago. You have access to parallel selves who have already achieved everything you desire and more. This isn't fantasy. This is your quantum birthright. This is the extraordinary potential that exists within your very being. The parallel self who is living your dream life isn't waiting for someday in the future. They exist right now, in this moment, vibrating at a frequency that you can learn to match. The quantum field that connects all possibilities isn't separate from you. You are an integral part of it, capable of consciously directing its creative power. Your transformation starts now, with your next thought, your next feeling, your next choice of which vibrational reality to embody. The universe is waiting for you to step into your quantum potential. Your parallel selves are waiting for you to recognize and align with them. Your dream reality is waiting for you to become the vibrational match for its manifestation. Right now, at this very moment, you're living in a reality that's smaller than what's actually possible for you. Not because you lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but because somewhere along the way, you accepted limitations that were never really yours to begin with. You inherited them from well-meaning parents who were terrified you'd get hurt, absorbed them from disappointed teachers who had given up on their own dreams, collected them from friends who mistook cynicism for wisdom. These limitations don't feel like lies because they've been with you so long. They've become part of your identity. They whisper in your own voice, using your own logic, presenting themselves as wisdom and protection. They construct elaborate stories about why you should stay where you are, why you should be grateful for what you have, why you should stop wanting more. But here's what they don't want you to realize. These aren't truths about reality. They're just stories, and stories can be rewritten by the author. You are the author. The human brain is a marvel of evolution, capable of processing millions of bits of information every second. Yet it operates on programs that were designed for survival in a world that no longer exists. It's wired to spot danger, avoid pain, and maintain the status quo at all costs. Your brain treats uncertainty as threat, change as danger, and growth as risk. It would rather keep you miserable but safe than happy but vulnerable. But you, the real you, the consciousness that observes your thoughts rather than being trapped by them, you have the power to override these ancient survival programs. You can choose to see uncertainty as adventure, change as opportunity, discomfort as the price of growth. This isn't positive thinking or denial of reality. This is recognizing that you are not your thoughts, you are not your fears, and you are certainly not the voice that tells you to stay small and play it safe. Consider this. Every morning, you wake up with the same fundamental power that built civilizations, launched revolutions, created every piece of art that has ever moved you, and developed every innovation that has improved human life. The power to choose, not just what to wear or eat, but who to become, what to believe, how to interpret everything that happens to you. You can choose courage over comfort, growth over safety, possibility over certainty, love over fear. Yet most people sleepwalk through this incredible gift. They make the same choices day after day, follow the same mental patterns, react to situations the same way they always have, and then wonder why their lives feel stuck in an endless loop. They're like someone standing in front of an enormous banquet of possibilities, eating the same stale sandwich because it's familiar. The tragedy isn't that they don't have options. It's that they've forgotten how to see them. But something inside you is awakening to these possibilities, isn't it? You can feel it stirring, that recognition that there's more available to you than what you're currently experiencing. That feeling isn't just hope or wishful thinking. It's your consciousness recognizing truth. It's your authentic self reminding you of who you really are, beneath all the layers of conditioning, compromise, and quiet desperation. Let me share something that will fundamentally shift how you see yourself and your potential. Every expert was once a complete beginner who had no idea what they were doing. Every master started as someone who was terrible at their craft. Every person you admire, every success story that inspires you, every achievement that seems impossible from where you sit, they all began with someone who felt unprepared, uncertain, and absolutely terrified. The Wright brothers were bicycle mechanics who decided to solve the problem of human flight. Marie Curie was a Polish immigrant who couldn't afford proper laboratory equipment. Oprah Winfrey grew up in poverty and faced more rejection than most people experience in a lifetime. Colonel Sanders was 62 years old when he franchised KFC. What separated these individuals from millions of others with similar dreams wasn't superior preparation, perfect circumstances, or the absence of fear. It was their willingness to act despite uncertainty, to move forward despite feeling unprepared. They understood something that successful people throughout history have discovered. Readiness isn't a feeling that arrives like a package delivery. It's a decision you make despite not feeling ready. Confidence doesn't create action. Action creates confidence. You don't have to feel brave to act bravely. You don't have to feel capable to demonstrate capability. You don't have to have all the answers to take the first step into the unknown. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. No amount of studying balance, physics, or momentum could prepare you for the actual experience of staying upright on two wheels. You had to get on the bike and wobble, fall, get back up, and try again until your body learned what your mind couldn't teach it. Life works the same way. You learn by doing, not by preparing to do. This principle applies to every area of your existence. The relationship you haven't pursued because you might get hurt. The business idea you haven't acted on because you don't have enough capital. The creative project you haven't started because you think you're not talented enough. The conversation you haven't had because it might be uncomfortable. The dream you haven't chased because it seems unrealistic given your current circumstances. All of these represent opportunities disguised as obstacles, possibilities masquerading as problems. Your brain, desperate to keep you safe, has convinced you that these are legitimate barriers when they're actually invitations to grow, to expand, to become more than you currently are. But here's where most people get trapped in an endless cycle of preparation. They wait for inspiration to strike like lightning, for motivation to arrive like a scheduled train, for confidence to download into their consciousness fully formed. They don't realize that successful people don't wait for these feelings. They create them through action. They understand that the path reveals itself to those who begin walking, not to those who stand at the starting line with a map, compass, and detailed weather report. Let's talk about what you really want. Beneath all the practical considerations and reasonable limitations that have been programmed into your thinking. What would you attempt if you knew failure was impossible? What would you create if resources weren't a concern? What would you become if other people's opinions carried no weight in your decisions? Who would you be if you could design yourself from scratch, free from all the stories about what's realistic for someone with your background, education, age, or circumstances. These aren't just hypothetical questions designed to make you feel good. They're reconnaissance missions into the depths of your authentic desires, revealing the dreams that are uniquely yours to fulfill. Your dreams aren't random accidents or products of wishful thinking. They're assignments from your highest self, breadcrumbs leading you toward your greatest potential, glimpses of the person you're capable of becoming. The fact that you can imagine something means it exists in the realm of possibility for you. The fact that certain dreams stir something deep inside you means they're connected to your purpose, aligned with your authentic path. Your imagination isn't a source of torture, showing you things you can't have. It's a preview of coming attractions, a trailer for the movie of your life that you have the power to direct. But here's what keeps most people trapped in the gap between dreaming and achieving. They confuse the magnitude of their dreams with the size of their first steps. They think that big visions require big initial actions, massive investments, perfect plans, and ideal circumstances. They don't realize that every transformation, no matter how dramatic, begins with tiny adjustments, micro decisions, and small brave choices that compound over time into extraordinary results. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow to start building your business empire. You can begin with 30 minutes before work, creating something meaningful while the world sleeps. You don't need to move across the country to pursue your dreams of artistic expression. You can start where you are, with what you have, transforming your current space into a laboratory for creativity. You don't need to have everything figured out before you begin. You figure it out by beginning, adjust course as you go, and trust that clarity comes through action, not before it. The compound effect of small, consistent actions is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Yet it's invisible to most people because they're looking for dramatic, immediate results. If you saved a single penny today and doubled it every day for a month, you'd have over $5 million. But most people would look at that penny and think it's insignificant. They focus on the size of the action instead of the power of consistency, on the starting point instead of the trajectory. Your current circumstances are not your permanent address. They're your temporary mailing address while you're under construction. Where you come from doesn't determine where you can go. Your past doesn't define your future unless you keep using it as a reference point for what's possible. Every sunrise brings a new opportunity to choose a different direction, make a different decision, become a different version of yourself. But this requires something that's become rare in our instant gratification culture: patience with the process and impatience with inaction. Most people have it backwards. They're patient with staying stuck and impatient with growth. They want overnight success from part-time commitment, immediate results from minimal effort, life-changing transformation from comfortable choices. Real transformation works differently. It requires you to fall in love with the daily practice, not just the eventual outcome. To find joy in the process of becoming, not just the moment of arrival. To celebrate small victories while working toward large visions. To trust that consistent movement in the right direction will eventually lead to extraordinary destinations, even when you can't see progress from day to day. Think of a bamboo plant, one of nature's most remarkable examples of patient persistence. For the first 4 years of its life, you see almost nothing above ground, just a tiny shoot that seems to grow impossibly slowly. But during those 4 years of apparent inactivity, something extraordinary is happening beneath the surface. The plant is developing an extensive root system, creating the foundation that will eventually support incredible growth. In the 5th year, that same bamboo can grow up to 90 feet tall in just 6 weeks. Your personal transformation follows the same pattern. The habits you're building today, the skills you're developing, the mindset shifts you're making. They might not be visible to others yet, but they're creating the internal infrastructure that will support your eventual breakthrough. The foundation you're laying in private will determine the height of the success you can build in public. This is why so many people give up just before their breakthrough moment. They plant seeds and expect immediate flowers. They start exercising and expect instant physical transformation. They begin learning a new skill and expect immediate mastery. When they don't see dramatic results quickly, they conclude that their efforts aren't working and abandon their dreams, never realizing they were just seasons away from harvest time. But you understand something that separates successful people from everyone else. Everything worthwhile takes time to develop. You're willing to invest in your future self, to make choices today that will benefit the person you're becoming tomorrow. You recognize that success isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. It's not about never falling down. It's about getting up one more time than you fall, learning something valuable from each stumble. Every setback contains the seeds of a comeback. Every failure provides feedback that success never could. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to develop strength, resilience, and character. The challenges you face aren't punishments for some cosmic crime you didn't commit. They're preparations. The universe's way of making sure you're ready for the level of success that's coming your way. Your unique combination of experiences, perspectives, struggles, and insights creates a lens through which you see the world that no one else in human history has ever possessed or ever will possess. Your exact mixture of strengths and vulnerabilities, victories and defeats, dreams and disappointments has equipped you with solutions to problems that others can't even see, answers to questions that others don't know how to ask. You're not just seeking personal success for selfish reasons. Whether you realize it or not, you're developing the capacity to serve others in ways that only you can. Your transformation becomes evidence that change is possible, that dreams are achievable, that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they decide to stop accepting ordinary results. The challenges you're facing right now, the obstacles that seem to be blocking your path, these aren't cosmic mistakes or evidence that you're not meant for success. They're specifically designed resistance training for your character. Customized obstacles that will develop exactly the qualities you need to handle the level of success you're moving toward. Think about it. If you achieved everything you wanted right now, this instant, without any growth or preparation, would you be ready to handle it? Would you have the character to manage it wisely? Would you have the skills to sustain it? Would you have the perspective to use it well? The delays and challenges you're experiencing aren't keeping you from your destiny. They're preparing you for it. This is why successful people often talk about being grateful for their failures, their rejections, their periods of struggle. Not because they enjoyed the pain, but because they recognize that those experiences forged the strength, wisdom, and resilience that made their eventual success possible. Without the struggle, they wouldn't have developed the capacity to handle the victory. But here's what most people don't understand about the relationship between struggle and success. It's not about enduring more pain than others or suffering longer than everyone else. It's about extracting value from your experiences, learning faster from your mistakes, and refusing to let temporary defeats become permanent identities. Every morning when you wake up, you're presented with a choice that will determine the trajectory of your entire day, and ultimately, your entire life. You can choose to see the day ahead as a burden to be endured or an adventure to be embraced. You can focus on what's missing from your life or what's possible in your future. You can rehearse old limitations or practice new possibilities. Most people make this choice unconsciously, defaulting to whatever mental pattern has become habitual. But conscious creators, people who deliberately design their lives instead of just accepting whatever happens, make this choice intentionally. They understand that how you start your day determines how you live your life. Your thoughts aren't random events that happen to you. They're choices you make, often unconsciously, but choices nonetheless. You can choose to think thoughts that empower you, or thoughts that diminish you. You can choose to focus on problems or possibilities, on what's wrong or what's working, on what you lack or what you're creating. This isn't about positive thinking or denying reality. This is about recognizing that your perspective shapes your experience, that your focus determines your feelings, that your mental habits create your life patterns. When you change how you think, you change how you feel. When you change how you feel, you change how you act. And when you change how you act, you change what happens to you. The most successful people aren't those who never face challenges. They're those who have developed the ability to see opportunities disguised as obstacles, to find gifts hidden inside apparent setbacks, to extract wisdom from every experience, whether it feels good or not. This skill isn't something you're born with or without. It's something you develop through practice, like building a muscle. Every time you choose a more empowering perspective, you strengthen your ability to do it again. Every time you reframe a challenge as an opportunity, you make it easier to see the next challenge differently. But this requires something that goes against everything our culture teaches us: the willingness to take responsibility for your life at a level that most people aren't prepared to accept. Not responsibility for everything that happens to you. Some things are genuinely outside your control, but responsibility for how you respond to everything that happens to you. This is perhaps the most liberating and terrifying realization you can have. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your response to your circumstances. You cannot always control what happens, but you can always choose what it means and what you'll do about it. When you truly internalize this truth, everything changes. You stop waiting for your circumstances to improve and start improving your response to your circumstances. You stop looking for someone to rescue you and start developing your own rescue skills. You stop hoping for an easier life and start building your capacity to handle a more challenging and rewarding one. The world needs what you have to offer, but not someday when you're perfect, not eventually when you have all the credentials, not later when you feel completely ready. The world needs your unique contribution now, in all your beautiful imperfection, with your authentic struggles and genuine passion. There are people waiting for the solution you'll create, the art you'll make, the business you'll build, the love you'll share, the example you'll set. There are problems that only you can solve, not because you're better than everyone else, but because your unique combination of experiences and insights has prepared you to see solutions that others miss. But none of this matters if you don't bridge the gap between insight and action, between understanding and implementation, between knowing what to do and actually doing it. Knowledge without action is just entertainment. Inspiration without implementation is just emotion. The distance between where you are and where you want to be can only be covered through decision and movement. So here's your moment of truth, your crossroads, your 5-second window expanded into this eternal present moment. You can close this message and return to your familiar patterns, your comfortable limitations, your reasonable excuses. You can let this stirring of possibility fade back into the background noise of everyday life, like so many stirrings before it. You can choose safety over growth, certainty over adventure, the known over the possible. Or you can recognize this moment for what it really is, an invitation from your highest self to step into the life you've always known was possible, but never quite believed you deserved. You can choose to see this not as just another piece of inspirational content, but as the catalyst for your transformation, the spark that ignites the fire of your authentic power. The choice is yours, as it always has been, as it always will be. But choices, like opportunities, don't wait forever. Every moment you delay is a moment you can never recover. Every day you postpone is a day your future self will never get back. The perfect moment is a fairy tale told by those who are too afraid to act. The right time is now. The right person is you.